fumble a bag. Now I will not fumble a bag. Act like you know how this goes.
What's good, people? My name's Stephen Marshall.
My name's Stefan Barnett.
And my name is Becky Wolf.
The topic of conversation today is body positivity, and body positivity, especially in men.
Yep.
We're going to lead it on to Becky, just to introduce yourself and what you do and why we have you on the podcast.
Sure. Hi, I'm Becky. I'm a body positive photographer, and I specialise in making people feel good about themselves as they are. And I do that through photography.
What I wanted to speak about is mental illness within men regarding body image.
Okay.
Because obviously, as we all know, sitting around this table, that like 3/4 of suicides in the UK are male-based.
Yeah.
And
successful ones, though. This is the weird part. I don't know if you know about the paradox. It's a complete weird one.
I read something the other day about it was more a cry for help when it comes from a woman, if it is an attempt, which makes more sense because men don't ask for help, where women who are mentally unstable would ask for help in an extreme way. Do you know what I mean?
Yes and no. So I'm thinking like, well, for every successful suicide, how many attempts has a man made? That's a question, because you can't really answer that one necessarily. But if women are twice as likely to attempt suicide. But I don't know if it's necessarily like just the methodology of it that is creating more of a gap than it is.
I think I think after being part of men's suicide awareness groups and things like that, men that I know that have attempted suicide, the attempt has gone so badly wrong that they've ended up in a wheelchair or they've ended up paralyzed. So it's not the fact that the attempt. The attempt in itself was so extreme that it was an end of life situation. It was jumping in front of a train. It wasn't swallowing pills or cutting my wrists.
And that's it. So women and men commit suicide differently.
They
Not
do.
to be like there was some of those depressive conversations.
No,
but I think this is what we're
speaking about.
Yeah. They do attempt it differently. Yeah. So I think that might lead to...
Yeah, 100%. And because men are kind of like, I'm going to run away and do this.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know a couple of people who committed suicide via hanging, but not to sound morbid, Jesus. But a man will normally run away to do something like that. He'll go away from where anyone's going to find him, because he doesn't want to. He already when the suicidal thoughts creep in on this is just from what I know. This isn't across the board, by the way. But men that I've spoken to, it's a case of I want to get away from the ones I'm hurting.
Yes,
and I don't want
to
find
from
me.
That.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But the reason I brought this topic up is because I would just like to know if you guys have met anybody, man or woman, who their mental health has been really badly affected due to the way that they look, either health-wise because they've put too much weight on or lost too much weight. Because we're talking about body positivity here, it doesn't actually have to mean put weight on. It could mean that they've lost too much weight.
So I've got one. I won't say who it is, but they went through a surgery, like the sleeve,
like a gastric band.
Yeah, like a gastric band.
Okay,
so obviously, just you consume less calories.
Yeah, you eat a lot.
You'll consume less calories and lose weight rapidly.
Yeah.
And obviously that's worked out good for them. However, I was going to say, in terms of doing things like that, I think it's important, because you were saying before we got co-opted like this, I think it's important that first you come to terms with who you are in loving yourself.
Yes.
And like man, woman, or whatever, but just in general, men, you need to come to terms with who you are and love yourself. That doesn't mean to say I'm perfect or I'm this,
of course.
but I am who I am.
Yeah, it's loving you, but regardless of your imperfections, like you'd love anybody else.
Yeah,
you don't expect anybody else in your life to be perfect.
Yeah. You should love yourself like you love somebody else. Yeah, essentially that. Have that first, and then mentally, then you'll need to have that to be able to look at yourself and accept yourself for who you are.
Yeah,
I think those steps need to come before. Then whatever choice you make, then is something that you could live with more. However, that long going into that, that's probably one of the only people that I know have gone. Actually, I know a couple of people who've gone through that operation. And it's worked out good for them that way. They were quite young, so there was no, I don't know, I don't see any repercussions, but I've just seen people who have done plastic surgery more than weight loss things to change more. That change what they look like to suit inside with what they see, instead of going backwards, instead of doing the steps of loving yourself, accepting yourself, and then making a change.
I think that's more apparent now with social media and Instagram and TikTok and all these things, because we're seeing more and more people that we think are unobtainable, and we have the choice now to nip off to Turkey.
And that's it. It's the accessibility of procedures.
So accessible, and there's financial options available. So now you don't even have to save up for this thing. Now you can pay £200 a month, and you're thinking, oh, I just need to do an extra photo shoot, or I need to work a couple of extra hours. That's going to pay that £200 a month.
Then you can get the tits of your dreams.
Yes, of course. Pair of double Ds. So,
I mean, dream big.
That's always a big dream. But that's what I kind of wanted to come on to next, is to get away from the morbid side of things. We had to speak about it, obviously. But what media, films, magazines, social media, what they deem as body positive for women, because there's this whole new like bigger is beautiful thing, but where is that for guys?
I think for guys, when you say bigger is beautiful, do you mean
so in a woman sense? You've got
like
big
people like Lizzo,
yes,
leading the way for bigger is beautiful. I mean, we've had, I think, women have had a lot of pressure on the way that they look, because that's how they're valued by society. So if you can't be,
it was how they were valued.
I think,
and it's still a lot. It's still,
but I think it's more
men are visual or something. You know, like
that obviously there's got to be an attraction there, but there is just as many men, especially now I'm an older man. Like when I was younger, I was very naive, and a woman had to look a certain way and all this kind of stuff. But now I'm older, and this is going to sound like something off Love Island, but I go for personality over anything else. Like obviously I want to be
accent as well. It definitely does come from Love Island. Like, it's so
but like I go for attraction on somebody's intelligence, on conversation.
How they make you feel.
Yes.
You get to be around somebody.
100%.
Not, they're a nice, pretty accessory.
But I think that comes with
maturity.
time, don't it?
It comes with maturity.
100%. Sure. But I do think that there is space now for majority of my friends, like not a bigger woman, but what would be classed as curvy, voluptuous, like they want a woman. They want a woman who is. I'm trying to say this with the most, the nicest. So there's no difference from a size 6 woman to a size 14 woman. But what I'm saying is, like a lot of my friends like a curvier woman. So this thing of these younger females and these younger men thinking that the abs and the double Ds while having a size 4 waist, and what's it called, a BBL? Is that what it's called?
Big, beautiful. I don't know.
No, but it's a procedure now.
A Brazilian butt
it's a procedure.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. I'm like, big, beautiful
So there's a procedure now where they take the fat from your stomach, they pump it in your hips and bum.
Good to know.
So you look like a Kardashian.
Which is obviously the goal.
That's the goal. That is the goal.
That's the gold standard right there.
The gold standard of a woman obviously is Kim Kardashian. I don't know about other blokes, but I just don't find any of the Kardashians appealing at all. Like, I'm just not on this Kardashian.
Sure.
I can see their beauty, but I understand what you mean. Like the appealingness.
Yeah.
It's a superficial appeal.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they look good, but you need something real though. So when you've got things like a mortgage to pay and like you've got actual responsibilities in life, that's not what you're going to find attractive.
Yeah.
And I think like this is the point I'd kind of like to make, is that it's normal when you're younger to find younger looking women attractive.
Of course.
Right? So thinner women, you're generally thinner when you're like 18.
Of course.
Right?
I was tiny when I was 18.
Same though. It's normal when you get to your 30s and 40s to find a more full-figured woman attractive, and they're just different life stages that we're allowed to go through. And I think what the media doesn't do very well is allow that transition.
Yeah, they're
because
stuck
we stop hiring women the minute they turn 30 in Hollywood, and that's changing. It's changing, and it's just going to take time. But it's making sure that not every girl in every film is an 18-year-old doe-eyed, like, oh my goodness, my hero.
Yeah.
You know. And I think that's what it comes from, because it doesn't work for men and it doesn't work for women.
No.
So, but it's on its way.
So off the back of what you're saying there, and please anybody jump in whenever they want to say anything. But what do you think personally? Is more attractive, abs and shoulders and like competition ready body, or more of the dad bod?
I was going to say, is this for men or women?
No, this is for you. This is for you. So, like, you, if you're looking for a partner.
I was going to answer the same thing.
Either, like, I'm on dating sites at the moment, and like dad bods are sexy. Like,
anybody out there, if you have a dad bod, listen to this.
Like,
you can drop us a DM. We'll put you in touch with Becky.
But then also on the flip side, it's like there might be someone that has like no hair and they're all ripped and muscly, and you're like, wow, you look like a sexy seal. Please, let's go. You're like a sexy seal. No hair. Wow.
So whether you are a big grizzly bear or a sexy seal, you can jump in the DMs.
Like either end of the spectrum, if that's the full spectrum, that's sexy. And it's always, I like to say this to my women, like, let's pretend for a minute that you have to have people find you attractive to be attractive, right?
Yeah.
To feel good about yourself, you have to find people that are attracted to you. If 1% of the population of the earth found you attractive, 1%, how many millions of people that is?
Yeah.
That's way more people than you need to find you attractive. Yeah. Don't worry about it. It's not about how many people on Tinder message you, or like how attractive you are to who you're shopping at Morrison's. Yeah. It's there's somebody for everybody. There's millions of people for everyone. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. No. I just think it is, you obviously with our apps or whatever, there's a value point, the little number that clicks up, and you're measured against somebody else instead of just taking solace in like yourself. Like
so I was on I'm not on Tinder anymore, but I was on Tinder. I tried it last year. And I mean, it's very flattering. With the first 10 minutes I had over 100 likes, and I wasn't going to pay for it, so I was like, well, okay, now I can't see how many people there are. First 10 minutes there's 100 people. I was like, that's way too many people that I could talk to, deal with. Oh my god. And then I think I was on it for about 4 months. And then I paid for it on the last month because it offered me a deal. And I was like, do you know what? I'm coming off. I'm coming off. I just want to know what that number is, just out of curiosity. Because I know that there's a habit of men just swiping right, and then they'll just see what comes back. So it's not that they're actually interested or have read your profile and care. They're just swiping right. Or it might just be as a little thing as, I'd do her. That's it. That's not validating in any way.
That's what it
is. If that's validating, please find something more validating. Oh my god, that cannot be your security. There was over 10,000 matches on Tinder when I paid for it, so I couldn't see the actual number still, and I wasn't going to pay the next bracket up just to see. And I was like, what? Yeah,
I don't think they're not there to help you find a relationship. Like they monetized it now in a way.
The number didn't do anything for me.
There is an actual device. It's a phone holder.
Oh, right.
And it's called the Tinder Swiper. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't.
It's a little tiny finger.
It's a little tiny finger
that just swipes right or left for you. And you just put it on.
Yeah, a man made that, didn't
you? You manually press just left, so you just leave it and it just swipes all the people for you while you're just cooking your tea. Not to blow your 10,000 people bubble or anything like that.
So it's just all these thousands of people.
It's just all main finger. Men are watching football like this. Just like, oh yes, he scored. That's what's happening out there.
And that's what I mean. Like, so if that number has to be that, like, oh, so many people need to find me attractive. No one finds me attractive. Like, what number would fix that? What? Give me a number.
Yeah.
How many people need to want to like bang you to make you feel good?
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to.
You can't have validation from other people.
But that's what we need to get across as well to both sexes. We need to know that it's about inner love, and I think I only found this the past couple of years. It's about like I'm obviously I love my missus to death, but if she was to leave me, I wouldn't be rushing to an app or to anywhere else because I know my worth. And my worth isn't an app. It isn't rushing into these dates and being scared of being alone. I think you should be happy. If Georgia was to leave me, and I would be happy being single until I die. If it meant
nothing to do with her,
and nothing to do with her at all.
No, it's much better to be alone, but without being lonely.
I
was in a relationship for 8 years. We were together, and I've constantly felt lonely. I didn't believe people could be happy being single. I was like, well, you kind of have to say that, don't you? Nobody else pities you because there's no one to complete you in your life. Like I was being completed at all. I was happy. I was the most alone in that relationship that I've ever been.
Yeah.
And now I'm single, and I've been single for about a year, and I'm like,
This feels good.
do you know how long it's been since I've watched a movie I didn't have to watch? Like, I don't want to. I haven't watched the Transformers in so long.
You're missing out.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It's so good. No Star Trek, no Transformers. If I want to watch geeky stuff, it's my geeky stuff. It's Lord of the Rings, you know what I mean? No.
Yeah.
So it's about finding who you are, and taking time out of relationships is a really good way to do that. It's not to say that Tinder or any dating app is bad. Sometimes it's kind of like the only way you can meet people now.
Yeah.
Because people don't want to approach people. Or,
But this is back to
the
the confidence we were speaking about last night. Like, male or female, having that masculine energy to go and approach somebody in the gym, in the library, at the supermarket, and just saying hi, how are you? I don't want to bother you.
Don't make a pass. Yeah, you don't have to.
But I just want to say, like, I've spotted you a couple of times. I just want to say you're really beautiful. I don't know if you're in a relationship, but
when I'm at the room next time, guys, please.
but like, it's about having that masculine energy to say to yourself.
It's a security.
Yeah,
I don't feel like that has to be like a masculine thing. Like, I can walk up to people and compliment them. I'll talk to strangers. I don't necessarily. Sorry,
but I do think that is a masculine energy within yourself, because we were talking about. Like, me and myself, I have positive and negative masculine energies, but I also have positive and negative feminine energies. Yeah. And it took me a long time to realize that I do have feminine energies. Like, I do things. I cry. I love chick flicks. I love to sit down with some B&Js with the missus. We do. No, but that to me, that's my feminine side of my kind of like my relaxing, less like just be with each other kind of stage.
Might I suggest what I feel like your feminine energy is? So
you know me well enough.
I do.
Yeah.
Your negative feminine energy is getting flustered. Like you get very like I'm going to think about this from 1,000 directions, and it's not very grounded. It's not very assertive. It's just kind of like a flustery panic of cloudy fluff and nothing. And that's quite a feminine trait, to get carried away in stuff. And then your positive feminine energy is your need to heal. I feel like the feminine energy in itself is very soothing, it's freeing, it's liberating, and it's healing. And you have a direct, like, you constantly need to heal, either you or other people around you. That's your drive.
Definitely 100%.
That's feminine.
That's a good feminine energy.
It's not about chick flicks, sorry.
No, I'm not, like, I was kind of trying to lead it on to what you were saying, but you just fully wiped me out there with that. I'm so glad you're here just to fully take the reins on that one. But like, I think guys need to understand, well, like we were saying yesterday, like, understanding both feminine and masculine energies within themselves. And we did say, like, Google what your feminine energies could be and what a feminine energy is. So, like, because we as we said yesterday, we don't know everything. We're just two guys who have been through life and
talking from our
experience. We do feel like we've been around. We've been in the military together. We've traveled the world together.
Are you wearing your out?
He's wearing. He's stuck in it. He's like, you can't sell it. But we were on building sites before that. Then we both went into the security industry, went into private security. So we kind of just followed the same paths before we knew each other and afterwards. So we've been around male and females for a lot of our life, especially as we've got older now. And we are very comfortable within female circles where not a lot of guys are. So we feel like the reason we can bring the gentleman's way of the podcast from a male's point of view is because we understand both sides. And we're not saying we understand everything.
Well, who could though?
Exactly.
Literally, who could?
Because I even think, like, your insight today on this topic, you've said things that we wouldn't even thought of. There's and it's just, it's added so much.
The compliments, you guys.
So what would you say to guys if you could sit down with guys who are really uncomfortable with their bodies and they were feeling like they were worthless, that they weren't going to find a partner, that they were not good enough for their partner now? What would be the thing that you would say in a shoot scenario?
Okay.
What would you say to them?
First and foremost, talk about it, okay? Just talk about it. Like, if you've got feelings, these are overwhelming feelings. Sometimes even having to express a thought out loud can help your brain rationalize it, because you've had to give it words and embody it, and it's grounded. It's not just this like floating compulsive, like obsessive kind of behavior that you can't pin down. So the minute you talk about something, it's then made real, and you can kind of express it, get it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So men don't talk about stuff enough. You don't talk about anything enough. I've been part of guys' conversations where it's like, is this it? Hi, yeah, good. How are you, mate? Yeah, good. Is that the evening? We're done.
I feel very fortunate that the people I surround myself with now are very open with their emotions.
That's good. Yeah.
But I've purposely looked for them people.
Yeah.
Like Dan from Men Walking and Talking, who's going to be a guest on the podcast in the next couple of weeks. Me and him sit, because obviously we get, after we've done a walk, the Men Walking and Talking group, by the way, is on Facebook and on Instagram, so please go and give it a follow. It's a men's suicide awareness group. But after we've been for our walk on the Wednesday with the guys, we'll go and have a coffee.
Yeah.
And we'll just vent about our week together.
Good.
And I think it's so important to vent away from your relationship, because you don't, like, I personally, so in my day job, I obviously deal with a lot of guys who are addicts, who are alcoholics, drug addicts, things like that, homeless guys. And I make sure on my walk home, I debunk from the day. Yeah. Because I don't want to take it into my partner, and the only conversation we have is, how was your day?
Yeah.
And this is something that I think guys need to do a lot more as well, is understanding that having a conversation about your work day isn't having a conversation with your partner.
Yeah. It's that unloading, isn't it?
Yeah. Which is fine to still do.
100%.
Like, she wants to know about your day.
100%.
He wants to know about
but
your day.
It can't be the
cares.
only conversation you have on an evening.
No, it can't.
It can't be that. It can't be that, and then it can't be.
But that's a diary otherwise.
But sorry, just to jump in. But the thing I think that we struggle with, and people are tested it, is that's the only thing you get to talk about. That's the conversation.
So that's your choice.
Not, but
sometimes when you're in a relationship, though, things have to be talked about. So when you've got kids, you have to organise your week. You have to talk about who's going to take the kid to football club, who's going to be up on Saturday morning. But if this is where you've got to make time. I'm
not. So I'm not just putting it on like it's just that way. Yeah. And especially what you said, you articulated it well.
Yeah,
but
we just need you in the background to articulate everything we're saying. I'm talking about feminine. I'm talking about a girly night and wearing like face masks, and you're like, no,
it's
Steve,
like no.
She's like, shut the fuck up.
Love to heal.
Shut the fuck up, and now you're gonna listen, Steve. You'd
like, Stefan, what you're really trying to say is we have other things to talk about.
It's not girly. You've got to look after your skin.
No, but like I'm on about like having a girly night. I think's feminine with my missus. Like we have a girly night.
Yeah.
We watch chick flicks.
And that's lovely.
And we put face masks on, and we do that kind of stuff. And
you should be doing a face mask like once
just
a week.
In general,
that's like I don't do that shit. I barely wash my face. The only daily thing I do is brush my teeth twice a day. That's the daily, and have a shower, obviously.
Yeah, just pick the random food out of the bed. And
pick the random. The dog does that for me now. Anyway, the dog chews the food out of the bed.
I told you to come and have me.
Becky's like, what am I coming to?
Flavour doesn't.
Why has the dog got a T-bone steak? Oh, it's just a beer. Don't worry about it.
The chips. Yes. Oh look, coleslaw.
But I don't even know where we came from with this. But
sorry. So obviously there are things that take place that have to take place, like you said.
Yeah.
And making time is important and it's essential to not just talk about work. Yeah. But sometimes it just does happen like that. Like
it does. Yeah. And it's easy to slip into that.
Yeah, that's
so easy.
Yeah.
I think what a good thing to do is like clients that I've had in the past who are in relationships and they want their relationship to work, but they feel, and this is coming from a woman's point of view. I don't know how body positivity and this got mixed up, but it's fine. But I've said to them before, like I've had a client who said, my man comes in from work.
Yeah.
He literally is golden. How are you? How was your day? You sit down. I'm going to make tea. He'll go in, put the tablet on, put his headphones in. He'll make tea. He'll wash the dishes. He'll watch his tablet while doing so. They'll eat together. He'll go to bed and be on his tablet all night watching whatever it is he watches. Now, that to some women sounds amazing. Mm-hmm. But where is the connection? No. So I said you need to do the 3 questions to each other every single day. What was the funniest thing that happened to you today? What was the worst thing that happened to you today? And what are you going to do better tomorrow that you didn't do today? And just them alone, them 3 questions are going to spark so many other things than just work or the kids or this or that. Like, oh, I was really rude to this old lady in traffic. You know what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm going to do some breath work before I go into traffic or whatever.
Just going to breathe in this old lady's face a lot.
No, but
sorry, that's a very visual person.
Yeah, but I'm saying like there is questions that you can set yourselves where you can see like put the 3 questions on a printout on the fridge and be like, have we asked the questions?
Do it in a jar.
Yeah.
Do it in a jar and then it's a lottery and you don't
Yeah,
know what's going to
like
happen.
one night, sit with a Chinese and a little drink and have a chat and maybe just write little tiny post-it notes, fold them up and put them in the jar and do like 150 each.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then every day take one out and the question of the day is this.
Yeah.
You've got a year's worth of questions. And even if that's the only interaction that you have with each other that day, maybe that's just enough to keep the connection, keep the flame alive. And because if you don't, if you don't do that, you are going to be back to what we were talking about in the relationship. You're going to be in the grey smog of a relationship, and you're just constantly going to be, this is okay. Yeah, it's okay enough to not leave, and it's okay enough where I'm not going to make an effort.
Quit, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's quiet quitting.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Was there anything else body positive related that you did want to?
I was kind of just talking about the social media aspect of things. Then I was talking about how larger guys are always seen as the gay best friend, the villain, or overly skinny guys, as we spoke about before. But you've never got like the Thor looking bad guy. You don't get the action hero looking bad guy anymore. You get a really skinny guy or an overweight guy. We can be muscular built like Thanos.
But you have to understand from their point of view, they're trying to put negative.
But my point in getting to this is about the gay best friend, the villain. All these kind of people
in society. I feel it's men don't get the same shakedown as women. Like you get certain positives that we don't get. There's like and it's flipped. Like you can be a bigger woman and there's
you can be the
so
leading
much
lady.
Love.
You can be the leading lady and be a bigger woman.
A bigger man doesn't necessarily get the same love that a woman would get.
Let's put it this way: Melissa McCarthy has not had as long of a career as Jack Black. You can have been the funny big guy for a long time. Now it's really reductive for him because the Jonah Hill gets so many questions about his weight, and he's like, people piss off. That should be the least interesting thing. Yeah, and he's absolutely right. That is the least interesting thing about Jonah Hill. He's funny and he's clever and he's charming.
He's very intelligent.
You know, like that's what's important. But I feel like women in the media have had to look a certain way more so than men for a long time because. Women in general will go for a man that makes them feel secure, makes them feel fun, rather than and it's been like that kind of dynamic for.
But do you not think that now we literally the scales are turning, and now we need to really back our men who are feeling like they're not adequate because and the same way women were and I really do understand that women for a long time had to be a size tiny and they had to look a certain way and they had that chiseled cheekbone, but we're not in that time anymore. The time we're in now is where it's okay for a woman to express herself any size she is, and I think that's amazing. Men now are now suffering the what women were suffering from so long. So does it make it okay because it's a man? Or no, definitely not. I'm not saying this to you. I'm saying like to society. Is it okay because women went through it for so long? Like we're such a society of it's fine because they dealt with it for so long, or like they dished it out for so long, or whatever it is. I'm saying now, like, shouldn't we not learn from our mistakes?
Retribution is not okay because the perpetrators aren't the ones suffering. I think.
And this isn't. I'm not just hitting you with this question. I'm hitting both of you guys with this.
And this is the thing. Like I think we like as people. To like organize stuff. We like things in boxes. We like things with labels because it makes the world make sense. But the world doesn't work like that. You can't categorize everything, and you just have to accept the chaos and mess that it is. So there is space for everybody. I think Jack Black's gorgeous. Like I think he's sexy and he's funny. There's not a film where he hasn't made me laugh. Yeah. But I also think Chris Hemsworth is also very sexy and very funny. Yeah. There's a space to be both.
Here's a question for you.
Sure.
It's actually probably not a good question for you because you're very open-minded. But just to everybody listening, any women that are listening, if you've seen a Jack Black figure in a nightclub and you've seen a Thor figure in a nightclub, who are you going to be attracted to?
So
it depends,
I'll answer that question.
What are you after in that club?
Yeah.
If you're looking for a partner, you're going to go for the bigger guy.
My personal bias might be actually that Chris Hemsworth looking guy has probably bagged more women, He's probably going to give me an STI. He's probably going to not treat me very well. You know what I mean? Not Chris Hemsworth, but a Chris Hemsworth looking guy might do though. Like he's more likely to be a bit of a jackass.
Yeah, he's more to be
in my bias.
So straight away, so you're viewing him on his looks, the same way we all do.
Yeah, because everyone has a personal bias. Yeah, and it could be that the Jack Black looking guy is exactly the same and is just as selfish in bed or whatever it is. But that's the personal bias depends on what that person thinks and what that person feels at that time on the basis.
So I think in general there's like in social media for men and women the standard look or the idealized look for us is narrowed. So like let's say for a man 6 packs, bodybuilder, whatever. For a woman accentuated features, breast, bum.
That's it. You have to have such extreme features.
Do you know what I'm saying? For both. Even with when you look at social media, I think the ages from this being generous from 18 to 44. So that demographic, we're all looking at that, and a 44-year-old is trying to achieve an 18-year-old is.
Yeah.
However, when you look in live, like let's say culturally, I do see more of what you're saying. There's like let's say an attractive woman that we'd all think she looks beautiful, and an average looking guy, or you wouldn't think he's going to be in a movie. So I think in general in society there is maybe not as much to worry about, but when we do go on social media, it does put those thoughts into us, like maybe I have to achieve this, maybe I have to. But there's plenty of times where I've seen, I don't know, like a guy with a woman, I'm thinking, it doesn't match up, but obviously they must be happy.
You think the two things, don't you? As soon as you see a guy, and like this is generically, and this younger me definitely thought this, not anymore, but this is going to sound so awful, but I don't give a fuck. So the two things I think whenever a female looks a lot more attractive, a lot more attractive than a guy is, I think you've either got a big bank account or you've got a massive schlong. Like they're the two things that I'm thinking. You're either really good in bed or you've got a big bank account. Whenever I see it,
like being good in bed has got nothing to do with that.
Well, you don't think this is going to be another podcast because we're about to finish. But just to wrap it up for the day, I just want to thank Becky so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me. It's been really
we're definitely going to have you in again. Like even just maybe we'll just do
just like a penis-sized podcast.
Let's do a penis-sized podcast. Becky's going to be on the penis-sized podcast. Me and Stefan aren't going to be here, but Becky will be here by herself. Anything to wrap it up? Are you good? Anything?
No, I don't have any more to say. But thank you for coming on the podcast with us.
Anything, Becky?
Remember, there's space for you in the world, and you don't need to compete. It's not a race. There's no competition. Just be you.
You're literally in a marathon
and
with
enjoy
yourself.
It. Life's meant to be enjoyed. Just stop fucking worrying about it.
Have the cheesecake and go for the walk.
Listen, that's all we have time for today. Remember, stay humble, and that's all we got. Thank you.
Now I when I fumble a bag, act like you know how this goes.